I think this will work well. Hey friends, we're going to leave this space right here for all my artwork and whatnots that I've been doing over this last week because there's plenty. There's plenty to go around. Let's get cracking with it. This week has been so exciting. Started off, we had our first D&D session the other day, and this one brought a whole new collection of things. I was in town to get my tattoo worked on. I'm getting my calf finally finished up. It's been like a decade. I'll post pictures up here, probably a short video of my tattoo artist working on it as well. I'm so excited to get this tattoo wrapped up because
I don't know if I'm going to be doing that, but if it gets busy, if we get a good busy season, and I can get all the shingles and everything else, probably do it.
Is this dumb? Is this dumb? All this stuff that I'm telling you.
This is like
the other day I was talking about, if you check my Twitter, the story I had with Otto a couple weeks ago was the vampire revealed. And it talks about how he's not a vampire in the sense that he needs blood to survive, but he knows that magic exists inside the blood and he wants magic. But he's found a way to siphon that out of the blood with tech. He's one of the main players in the game, but I had this cool moment of shooting from the hip, writing my story, and it came out to be that the fluid that fills, or this tech siphons out, is green liquid. And I showed pictures of that tattoo. I've had this tank of liquid in my leg for the last decade, and it's just fits so perfectly. Just makes my tattoo mean that much more to me. So I'm stoked. I have one session left. Gonna get it touched up. He didn't have the nuclear green that it has, that liquid is. So he's gonna touch up a few spots of it, finish the rot away design around it, the whole thing, and then it'll be wrapped up. I'm super stoked. God, it's just been killer waiting for that. Went from there to D&D for our second session. If you don't know, I am a druid, which also allows me to have an animal companion. We're playing the 3rd edition. I know, nerdy stuff. It won't take long. We had a mission to go find a unicorn, and me and my friend were stoked because a unicorn, being an animal, could totally be my animal companion. My DM definitely cock-blocked me and wouldn't allow me to have the unicorn as a animal companion. Sucks, I know, but it's whatever. We're just learning the game, so it's not that big a deal right now, but it would have been super awesome. Years ago, when we had first met, I own a full-size van, and they always love riding around town in it, and he put this picture on my Facebook. I'm gonna put it, I'll probably just do a cutaway and show it off, but it's a unicorn in a van. It says no time to ask questions, just get in the van. But I remembered that after the session, and I wrote a big thing on Facebook about he brought this exact situation to my doorsteps years ago, and then it presented itself and I was no longer allowed to have it. But just having a lot of fun with that, learning the ropes of D&D. It's so much fun. I think we're gonna have a couple more people start with us as well, but I'm stoked on that. Also, I am in the second week of working on mummy design. The first week I just threw down ideas in my other sketchbook, kind of putting ideas down, what I need to work on for the actual painting later this month. And I took those designs and put them into my tablet and digitally. I'll show me working on that up here. But yeah, it's rad coming up with that design work. Trying to find a balance of my new style, but I also want it to be very much in the stylistic choices of this series that I've started with the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein as a Bride. So a lot of work still needs to be done at that. I've got another couple weeks. No, I've got one more week to refine a few more ideas, and then the week after that, I'm actually going to be painting. So that's coming up. You'll see that at the end of the month or so. Another cool thing is me and my dad did our weigh-in for 2020. It's the first weigh-in for the month. It turns out last year, since January of last year, my dad actually ended up losing 90 pounds. I've lost 80 pounds. I will be posting about it on Patreon. It'll be open to anybody who wants to see that. If you're interested in how my journey's gone thus far, you can find those posts on Patreon. I will link the newest one down there, as well as digital. I'm going to be throwing up my digital sketchbook on Patreon for my patrons, so you can get detailed looks at these. But for this week, I will throw the time lapse of all those going up here. Did this like kind of jacked up Bugatti, then kind of an engine cutaway design, this really sweet van that I really do like, the style of it, the way I got the lines just right. It's very my style, so I was stoked how that turned out. Also did this Adrian Dadic. He's a high concept artist. I've done stuff of his before. This is the first time I've actually like traced lines and like tried learning from his stuff. With this digital, doing it this way, it kind of feels like cheating, but it also is so freeing to try and learn from other great artists I admire, like their hands and their lines, their choices that they made. And Dadic has some incredibly intricate work that, if I can even pick up some of that, like it's massive on a huge scale. I am having printer problems with my damned giant Epson. Thank God I bought a 4-year warranty. The new one should be here in a few days, and then I just swap them out, mail the other one back. Cost me like $30. So there's that. And then finally, check this out. Finished inking the phosphor cover. This is going to be colored. I'm going to try coloring it digitally, just because I don't want to mess up the inks that I've already done. I have some cool ideas. I'm not necessarily incredibly skilled at digital yet, but I've come across a couple of cool things that I think will work awesome for doing that cover. And that's essentially my week. Over this last week, a lot of cool things have happened. I will throw a video of me inking the phosphor cover as well. Man, videos galore this one for sure. But I also want to talk about a couple comics, or the 2 trades that I read for this week. The first one being Fatale, Volume 1 by, I think it's by Brubaker. I'm not necessarily, but it's a crime noir story. It's really cool. My friend Luke turned me onto it because we're going to be drawing a detective story down the road. I don't necessarily want to get into it more than that, but this is a great vehicle to start thinking about that and like the way people are positioned, different circumstances they might find themselves in, and I found it very interesting. It's at times difficult to read because it kind of swaps between a handful of protagonists, but when it gets to the end of the volume, it's madness for sure. I'm stoked. I think it's like 5 volumes long. So whenever those go on sale next, I'm going to be picking them up for sure, unless I can get to Des Moines and just grab them from my friend. I know he has them on his shelf. But the second trade of the week is Skyheart by Jake Parker. This has been sitting on the shelf for a year and a half, maybe just a year. But finally his Kickstarter funded right away, and he took some time to get this all done. And I really dig it. I think the character design is so cool. Very reminiscent of his Rocket Raccoon run. I think he had like 5 issues with Scotty Young. It's endearing. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's kind of a simplistic design, but I also know how much work goes into doing a page, so like that's no easy feat. It feels like maybe it's 1/4 of the story, but it's very cool. I'm digging it so much. I'm looking forward to the next installment. I think he's doing the chapter by chapter and putting it on his website. I'm not quite sure, but if he's doing it that way, I definitely need whatever chapters he has. But I really dug this. Reminded me of his Rocket Raccoon run, and that's just awesome. Yeah, it's just rad. This kind of group of misfits trying to find their way to this end goal. It was really cool to check out. Also for RandM this week, we watched a couple unknowns. I think David Lynch just put up is going to drop his short, What Did Jack Do, on Netflix. It's like 17 minutes, totally worth checking out. And then there was a monster feature called Sweetheart on Netflix, definitely worth checking out. It's so rad. I'll put a link to the latest episode of RandM. We also watched Doolittle and Bad Boys 3, and I was surprised on how Luke was enthused about Bad Boys 3, so check that out for sure. I think that's going to do it for this week. Plenty to come next week for sure. Going to be working on Phosphor cover, wrapping up issue 10, and getting that cover done up is one of the big parts. And, you know, more D&D sessions and whatnot. More digital colors on the way. But I am going to leave you with, I think it's like a 3-minute clip of one of our first fights from D&D. If you want to check that out, I have a podcast set up. It's not random, but anchor.com/killingdragons. I have the first one posted on my RandM site, but I'll be taking that down, putting it on that one. But yeah, check it out. If you're totally interested, I will hopefully remember to drop a link for that podcast so you can sign up and be told about when that's coming out. I've got to talk to the guys. I think we're gonna do it so, like, setting up a Patreon, you can get the unedited, like, 2-hour long audio files of our sessions, or I'm gonna try cutting them apart and making them much more manageable. I think this 3-minute clip is like our first half-hour battle that we ever went into, so a lot of fun. Check that out, and we'll catch you next week to show you off what I'm doing with my art life for this coming week for sure. Peace. We'll check you next week. Later.
fell asleep. It's called a giant fire beetle. There's a rule on those, but go ahead and roll for initiative.
Okay.
Everyone?
Yeah, we get no surprise attacks because they both knew they were coming, so...
I got a 6.
It's Lincoln's turn.
We got this.
Honestly, this wasn't even going to happen, but I rolled a natural 20 to decide whether or not anything came at you tonight.
So Lincoln.
You guys hit it, right? No.
We have not hit it.
Not hit it yet?
No one's hit it.
Oh my god.
You're still at distance. Shoot at it with a bow.
Again?
Yeah, just do it again.
Can we?
Yeah, I'll launch some more
So
arrows
we
at
get
it.
the
We
fuck
have,
out of
motherfuckers
here.
on fire or bow and arrows.
Like, you guys are essentially sacrificed since you're engaged with it?
No, you could all run away.
I'm not running away.
Listen, dummy.
Too tough to run away.
Yeah,
Listen,
that's-
dummy.
you two are the biggest ones that are a part
also,
around us
like-
anyway.
18.
What? So basically,
20!
Plus
and that's a
3.
natural critical!
Natural critical.
Yes!
Yeah, even Reno's fucking excited.
He's our
That means you get to
companion.
roll your damage and
It's a
then
crit, right?
D6
Times
Or is it
3.
times
Is it
2
the
or
critical? Is that a critical hit if it's a
Natural
no.
20 is always a hit.
Well,
So
yeah.
then
but-
would you time
but
that
for the
by?
thing,
Natural
the
20 is
and the
critical. Flat the fuck out.
Right,
So,
what
then
does
if,
it say?
so if you had a
It should
critical,
say on
wouldn't
the-
it
So, like,
be
if you hit it with the short
It's
bow,
times 3.
times 3.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So 20
Roll
times.
your damage dice.
Would that be
and-
20 times
So,
3 then?
times
No.
three.
It's
Yeah.
your damage.
You
No, it's
do-
your
you
damage.
do-
Roll
You're
for
doing
initiative.
that.
So
Yeah.
when I
Now, do you roll it 3
5,
times or
it
you
would
take
have
the
been times
score?
3.
I think
Times
you
three.
take the score and times it by 3.
Okay.
Alright, we got
As long as we
this.
agree on it, that's it.
7.
21.
Damn, 21!
Wah, bah, bah, bah.
Killed it.
Killed it!
But we can't celebrate too loud. We don't want to bring anything up.
Yes, Jordan,
I
describe
just
your
walk
kill to
away because
everyone.
I'm unaffected. I don't care because
Yeah,
this is the thing.
This is a critical. You fucking killed the shit out
Yeah,
of
it was. Yeah, so Laura hit it, and it was all woozy, and it was about tipping over, you know.
It's like
and
when
then it went for
somebody half
Caleb, but
opens
then
a
he
jar,
missed, you know.
says someone
and-
else
wait,
needs
what's
to
your
open
name?
it, and then the person
You're
gets
talking
it.
over Jordan's fucking description.
Fang,
What's your name?
Fang.
Jordan is
It
on
swung at
fire.
Fang, and then he missed, and so I came right up behind it and right to the back of the head.
Fuck
Just
yeah.
fucking flap.
Just
Well
like
done.
split that fucker
Split
open.
it wide open.
Split it wide. Did it splatter?
Goo
Cracked
everywhere.
its exoskeleton.
Well done.
I don't
Yes.
like that.
I don't like
I
that.
don't like that
I'm
at
just
all.
happy
You
about
are
that.
covered in
I'm
goo.
clear the fuck away
Doesn't
from
fucking
it.
matter. He hit it that hard.
I just went
Everyone's
straight
covered
at
in
it.
goo.
Nope, just us.
Your dress got messed
I
up.
got him on
What
the
was that,
backswing.
motherfucker?
We
Hold it
were
down.
in a dress in the forest, so
I mean, it's still pretty hot.